Throughout history, various civilizations have questioned the shape of our planet, creating hypotheses according to their level of knowledge. Even today, scientists around the world question the truthfulness of the sphericity of the Earth, because even though it's presented as a truth, there is no unquestionable scientific evidence in this regard. Everything on which science bases itself are only evidences, and evidences are not proofs. In order to bring the light of knowledge on the true shape of the Earth, researchers of Daquila and Ziggurat's Technology Center joined with other scientists in an independent research that lasted 7 years, seeking scientific and definitive proof to demonstrate that Earth is indeed round or has another shape. In 2011, researchers from Daquila and the Ziggurat's Technological Center with the objective of proving the real shape of our planet. It was needed to prepare and carry out different experiments and data collection at several locations around the planet. Likewise, several experts were consulted on the possibility of the Earth not being spherical. To what conclusion did the researchers arrive in relation to the experiments with ships? The researchers realized that after some time looking at the boats with the naked eye, they began to disappear on the horizon. First the hull, then it was no longer possible to see the boat, and finally the mast lowered until it disappeared completely, as the spherical Earth theory explains.
Watching the boats with the naked eye, the initial impression is that they were disappearing, as if descending behind the horizon line.
When the boats reached a certain distance, it was no longer possible to see them with the naked eye. With the loss of eye contact, it's time for the team to use optical instruments in an attempt to still see the boats. If the boats are still visible through the equipment, it's proof that they have not traveled below the horizon. And to everyone's surprise, the boats were still there, visible. The researchers realized that the images of the equipment presented some optical phenomena.
During the experiments, we perceived the formation of optical phenomena that we initially attribute to the Fata Morgana effect, which is the refraction of light in the layers of the atmosphere.
This phenomenon is very common in deserts. There are the famous mirages. The mirage is the Fata Morgana effect.
A formation of images occurs, virtual images that are not real at specific points. Through the observations and the collected data during the experiments, we were able to determine that the optical phenomena had a certain pattern. After some distance, we began to have a visual loss, which increased to a distance where our direct vision was compromised.
When we lost the view with the naked eye, we used optical equipment, in this case the telescope, and the boat was still there. Only we realized that it was an inverted image, a mirror image.
We realized that the real image was practically disappearing, and we had the formation of an inverted virtual image, an inverted mirror image, when the angle of incidence of light on the surface, in this case water, tended to zero. This led to amplifying the visual phenomena we observed during the execution of the experiments. We deepened the studies, and we could determine that most optical phenomena, which are attributed to the refraction of light, called Fata Morgana effect, actually occurs by reflection. It is a reflective process of light on a surface with an angle tending to zero. With the observations we make, we have been able to promote a new physical theory that explains the Fata Morgana effect from a new optic, a new point of view. We call it the theory of optics applied to visual phenomena.
This conclusion helped us explain three phenomena that we know are illusions. Why the boat seems to disappear going down the horizon line, why first fades the hull and then the boat, and why when an observer is taller can see farther.
We conclude then that boats don't descend at the horizon, and that we lose the ability to observe them, to see them in function of an optical phenomenon.
With this experiment, one of the main arguments of the spherical Earth theory, that boats disappear on the horizon due to the curvature, is totally refuted. This is the first proof of the flatness of the waters. Among the long-distance viewing experiments performed with telescopes, the one with the greatest impact was at Lake Titicaca, where the team tried to record images at 110 kilometers. The site was chosen due to the low humidity of the air at certain times of the year, which is a prime factor for the result. With the telescope, the team was able to record images at a distance of more than 100 kilometers, which would be impossible in the theory of a spherical Earth, as the curvature would have a height of 237 meters, equivalent to a 79-story building. This experiment is yet another proof that the Earth cannot be a sphere. And the result of the experiment with radio waves? The researchers used directional parabolic antennas, where in the spherical Earth model, communication would be impossible, as the minimum obstacle would preclude this, since at the distance of the experiment, the curvature of the Earth would generate an obstacle of 3.84 meters in height.
We have connected.
Got it. We're with connection here. It's responding. The machine is responding. Returning. I'm having connection to your computer there. We have a ping back here. The connection is established. The signal that we wanted, we could scan there and managed to find it here. Communication was established. It has been proven that at this distance, we have been able to establish communication. We know that any interference in the way would mean not achieve communication. The test with radio waves was, let's say, unusual, because at the time, we set our antennas, and with the design of the spherical Earth, we started to work with almost complete obstruction of the Fresnel zone, which is the zone, the region, where the propagation of radio waves occurs. which would make communication impossible between the 2 points. However, with the idea of leveled waters, we would already have approximately 50% of the Fresnel zone unobstructed, which could allow communication between the 2 points, even if precarious. And how it happened.
This is yet another proof of the flatness of the waters, refuting the spherical model of the Earth. What about the geodetic curvature experiment performed on the buildings? Measurements were done of the bases and tops of 2 buildings, one in Torres, Rio Grande do Sul, and another in Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, 3,050 kilometers apart from each other. According to the theory of the spherical Earth, the distance of the measurements of the bases must be different than the measurements of the top, even in a few meters. But if the measurements are equal, this would show that the Earth has no curvature. Remembering the opinion of the INCRA engineers before the experiment,
Probably there will be in relation to the extension of this line perpendicular to the baseline. I believe it will be longer.
Thinking of the Earth as a globe, the initial expectation was that the measurements were different.
But when the results arrived, the base and the top measurements were the same, showing that the 2 buildings are leveled upright. And here the opening angle, where we read the point here, the base of the building and its height. As we do this calculation here, on this plane, we will always find this distance here. On this plane, we will always find this distance here.
the identical measurements of the distance between the bases and the tops prove that between the 2 buildings there is no curvature, proving that the Earth has no spherical shape. In the experiment of the geodesic curvature in the water, 3 points were obtained with a high-precision GPS on the Tres Marias Dam in Minas Gerais, whose extension exceeds 70,000 meters.
This first point, the elevation in relation to sea level is at 556 meters altitude.
The second point also presented the same result, 556 meters of altitude. If the third point were different, the water would be following the curvature of the Earth. If the measurements are the same, it will be proven that there is no curvature, but indeed flatness in the waters. And the measure of the third point surprised the researchers.
Here we also obtained the same measure, 556 meters at the level of the lagoon. We analyzed the data collected by the equipment, and all points show the same result, the same altitude, thus showing that the water in the dam remains level. These data overthrow the theory of sphericity, because according to this theory, the water should follow the curvature of the Earth. Only in a curve there is no level.
The 3 altitude measurements were identical, proving the leveling of the water, proving that the Earth has no spherical shape. And what is the result of the laser experiments? Did the team see the laser light on the other side?
We are here in the nocturnal experiment in the Tres Marais Reservoir. We are on the shore of the lake. The positioning of the laser is here by the lake, a meter or so from the water level where the second laser is. It is also in the same position, exactly 1.5 meters from the water level of the reservoir. As you can see, the two devices are communicating at a distance of 18 kilometers. We have successfully done an experiment today, and we are proving that the Earth does not have the format that science believes it has. So as we are at 18 kilometers, there is no water level difference from here to the other crew that is 18 kilometers away. It's exactly level. On this distance, there should be a visual obstruction by virtue of the curvature of approximately 6 meters, and we were able to get the signal from a laser cannon from the other shore at 18 kilometers on a little more than a meter from the level of the lagoon. This is the ultimate test. There is no curvature.
To guarantee the accuracy of the result, the researchers decided to conduct a surprise experiment. With the team still in place, a beam of light was lit that should be visible at 18 kilometers on the side where the team of surveyors was, who used a total station. At that distance, the Earth curvature would have risen 6.3 meters, equivalent to a 3-story building.
Do you see? Yes. Down. Can you see? Yes. Down. Can you see? Can you see? Yes. I am at water level. At water level. So okay, I will write down and you read the angles and the coordinates. There you take that height where it was blinking at the water level. It's on water level. But on how many meters high? 0. It's blinking in the water, right? It's in the water. 10 centimeters from the water. Okay, so I'm going to write down the angle here. Wait, Wilson.
During the experiment, a laser was added without warning the topographers.
Do you see any other light? I see it. I did see. I saw a laser now. He did see. He saw the laser. It die off. Lower the laser. All right, wait a minute, Wilson. Now I saw the laser. Did you see the laser? Not now. I saw the laser there. Lower a little bit. Do you see the light still? I see the laser there. Do you see the light still? I see the laser there. That's good. Just a minute. Urandir, what's going on here? Dude, it's over. It's done. At the water level. It was there at 2 meters and something. Well, now it's ruined. Now, so anything else needs to be done. We can go, right? We are with a telescope. We have a precision level, an optical level, with a topographer. We have a total station, which is a topography equipment that is used for measurements and level determination. So we are here 18 kilometers marked with a GPS on an island on a point of Lagoa, 18 kilometers from the topography equipment there with the crew. So we put a light beam, and then the topography equipment can see the light at water level. The light placed on the water level can be visualized by the topography equipment that is positioned 18 kilometers.
And the engineer remained perplexed by the outcome of the experiment.
We can go, right?
This is unquestionable proof that the Earth is not a sphere, for the waters are level. And the result of the laser experiment carried out at Lake Titicaca.
It is hitting the hill on the hill. Look over there. It is hitting a tree above us here. Look at theirs. Look at theirs. Are you pointing yours too? We're seeing. We see yours. It's just too high. It's very high. Look there. You saw. In this direction. It made it. There, it appeared again. Go. There, it made it again. That's it. Stop there. More to the left. Stop there. Stop. Through light here. It is illuminating here. It is moving there too. Here it is illuminating everything. We have already done the first tests, and the laser of team number 1 has already appeared here in the treetops that are on our side. Then the trees here have about 2 meters, 2.5 meters. So there we start directly discarding the hypothesis of the Earth being spherical. Because we are 35 kilometers away from team number 1 in a straight line from end to end, on the lake, on lake level. And according to the theory of spherical Earth, that 35 kilometers should give at least 23 meters and 98 centimeters of Earth's curvature. So a light communication would be impossible as we just have had. The result was positive here. We could see the laser on the other team there, and they could see us too. More than 30 kilometers, so there was no curvature. Total flatness. The research here was excellent. Here with this laser visibility test, Team 2 and Team 1 at 35 kilometers, there really was an unusual commutation at a distance of 35 kilometers, and that there should be an arc of approximately 24 meters. Neither Group 1 or 2 should be seeing the lights.
But how could one project a laser beam from one shore to another, 35 kilometers away, if, in the theory of the spherical Earth, there would be a curvature of 24 meters in height, and the laser equipment was positioned at 2 meters high, parallel to the water level?
Lake Titicaca has a width of 65 kilometers and a length of 165 kilometers. Other people say that the lake has spines, but it has not. It's a flat surface. It is a mirror Lake Titicaca here in Peru. If you look, for example, 30 to 40 kilometers, the lake looks flat.
This is yet another unquestionable proof of the flatness of the waters, which definitively overturns the theory of the sphericity of the Earth. Gravity is the theory that science considers as the main factor to keep everything in harmony on a spherical planet.
Water does not come off the Earth because it has a central force pulling towards the center of the Earth, which is gravity. It does not exist. According to the experiments, gravity does not exist. From the fundamentals of nature, Plum and Level overthrow the theory of gravity.
The plumb is an instrument used to gauge verticality. It is of fundamental use in civil construction to guarantee the verticality of the buildings.
This tool we use to get the wall in the right plumb because it cannot be out of plumb because the wall can fall. So this plumb is used for this, to keep it right and steady on the plumb. Neither there nor here, right there in the plumb.
The use of the plumb is the only way to ensure that construction is being erected in vertical alignment. The level is an instrument used to measure inclinations and is fundamental to ensure horizontality. It's used extensively in the areas of civil construction, surveying, photography, and astronomy, among others. The most common model is the bubble.
Any construction has to have level and plumb, because if it gets out of plumb and level, it can fall. That house can fall. This equipment is a system of communicating vessels and is used in the laboratory to demonstrate the behavior of water leveling. In whatever position we place the system, the water that is inside will always search its level. This behavior of the leveling can be proven not only in laboratory, but we can prove this in field experiments in ponds, lakes, and the seas.
This is a micro version of what we find all over the planet, leveled waters.
By verifying that the water remains level, both in micro and macro environments, it's also verified that gravity does not exist, because if this force existed, the waters would follow the curvature of the planet. But then, what forces act to maintain harmony on a non-spherical planet? Researchers from Dakila and the Ziggurats Technology Center have concluded that among the fundamentals of nature, the four main forces that, acting together, hold us firm to the ground are magnetism, density, pressure, and light. The researchers called this set of forces MDPL.
It does not exist. According to these experiments, gravity does not exist. But going even further, to prove or to sustain the sphericity of the Earth, without people falling, buildings, animals, constructions, the waters especially going off, flying out into space, to justify people stay fixed on the Earth's surface without being thrown off by the spin of the planet, they created a magical force called gravity. But this magical force is torn down by the plumb and level, because the physical behavior of water is to seek leveling. Or is physics wrong too? If the physical behavior of waters, according to our physics, is to seek leveling, how will it fix itself to a ball on a sphere without flying off? Space outside without seeking its level? So these are two contradictory things. Scientists of the past had only the eyes to observe and the reasoning to create possibilities. The older ancients used a model of the flat Earth, square Earth, triangular, and geoid. Later, other scientists defined the most suitable model would be spherical, geoid, putting a stake at one point and another at 800 kilometers. But he did not take into account the altitude, had no GPS, had nothing. So, there is really no way how these ideas, with the technology of today, can be considered, because everything we have today overthrows these theories. Any experiment today can prove that the globe doesn't exist. It's impossible. I, as an engineer, and all the studies I did to train me and specialize in me, I always considered the Earth as a spherical shape. So I had these preconceptions. But for us to start, when we began doing the tests, and until so now, I deleted the prejudices that I had from my head, trying to imagine myself without any knowledge of the Earth, to verify whether it is spherical or not. It is clear, without a doubt, that the Earth in the lakes region is flat. There was no difference of level at all. So I know it's difficult even for you to have the courage to talk about this issue here. Many professionals have refused to talk about it out of fear of having their career damaged, their image damaged, for contradicting a theory that has been there for 2,000 years and which has never been proven in practice. In the case of the Earth's sphericity, I have learned one thing. We have to have an open mind to discuss any theory, even if it seems absurd. At first, I had this difficulty of understanding this revelation. I spent months working on this. We are coming to the end and all the report. All this will be archived, made available on the internet, for anyone who wants to repeat the tests. We will include all the devices that were used, all technologies, all coordinates. We are here at the Três Marias Dam in Minas Gerais, and all this will be available to all of you, so that everyone can repeat the tests at home if they want. With this, we hope that our contribution to science and to the people, to the government, to the Air Force, not only Brazilian, but to all countries, including, so that all people can have a different vision from those 2,000 years that we had this spherical Earth theory. And now I hope you draw your own conclusions.